4 billionaire ladies, 1 poor man. A love war like no other. It was a Tuesday morning in Elmsworth, a quaint countryside town where the skies were clearer than dreams, and life was lived slow and sweet, except for Caleb. Caleb Dogo, 29, dark-skinned, humble, and strikingly handsome, lived in a one-room zinc-roofed house behind an old bakery. A gifted painter and sculptor with calloused fingers and a golden heart, he spent his days working odd jobs and nights sketching his dreams on torn pieces of paper. He had no car, no inheritance, and barely enough to afford bread and paint. Yet his soul glowed brighter than gold, and that was something money couldn't buy. Unknown to him, a storm was coming, not of weather, but of hearts. Aria Valenci, 32, CEO of the global fashion empire Velvet Halo, saw Caleb's art in a local magazine. One painting, a child sharing bread with a dog, stirred something deep in her. It reminded her of a simpler time when love wasn't measured by wealth. She came to Elmsworth incognito, sunglasses on, wrapped in a scarf. She bought every single piece from Caleb's modest street stall without haggling. He was stunned by her elegance and presence, but it was the way she smiled when he spoke, like he mattered, that shook him. She offered to sponsor his art school tuition, but Caleb politely declined. "I won't trade my hunger for pity," he said. She fell in love instantly. Danica Moretti, 30, daughter of an Italian oil magnate and a self-made billionaire in robotics, saw Caleb's face in a photo Aria posted, unknowingly. Her best friend noticed her staring and smirked. "You've conquered machines, Danica. Maybe it's time to conquer a man." She flew to Elmsworth that same week. Her style was bold, her approach even bolder. "You're mine," she said, placing a sapphire ring in Caleb's palm. "And I'm not used to hearing no." Caleb stared at her as though she was a painting he couldn't quite understand. "Then perhaps I'm your first masterpiece," he replied. Danica grinned. She loved the challenge. Safina Adedeo, Nigerian billionaire tech investor and philanthropist, found Caleb during a charity visit. She was moved by the way he helped children learn to draw using charcoal and scrap paper. She invited him to teach at a youth center she funded. Caleb refused money, but volunteered his time. Safina began to spend hours watching him. He was unlike any man she knew. He wasn't dazzled by her private jets or her TED Talks. Instead, he asked, "Why do you hide your eyes when you smile?" She knew then. This poor man saw her more clearly than any rich one ever had. Callista Zhang, the mysterious Asian real estate empress, was known for breaking laws and hearts. When her rivals Aria, Danica, and Safina each mentioned a man named Caleb in separate interviews, she became curious. She flew into Elmsworth unannounced, disguised as a travel vlogger. Caleb didn't notice her wealth. He noticed her silence. They sat one evening by the lake, sharing roasted corn and dreams. She never told him her name. She just said, "Callie." By the end of the week, her bodyguards were redecorating an old warehouse into an art gallery for Caleb. News exploded. For billionaires chasing one poor artist, headlines flooded social media. Caleb became an overnight celebrity. Brands offered him endorsement deals, but he refused. "I'm not a product. I'm a person." The billionaire women were now aware of each other. The competition turned fierce. Hearts clashed. Friendships trembled. And Caleb, once lonely, now faced the hardest decision of his life. To settle it all, the women confronted Caleb one night at the art center he'd built with their donations. "Choose one of us," Danica demanded. "You must choose," Aria added, trying to smile. "Don't rush," Safina whispered. "Let your heart speak," Callista said gently. Caleb stood still. "If I must choose from pressure, then it's not love. Give me time." They agreed 30 days, no contact. At the end, he would choose. Each woman returned home and began to reflect. Aria started designing a line inspired by Caleb's sketches. Danica created a robot that painted with emotion. Safina built free art schools across Nigeria. Callista bought an abandoned city and named its streets after Caleb's favorite artists. And Caleb? He painted. His masterpiece, a canvas called Love Has No Currency, went viral. The women returned. The whole world watched. Caleb stood on the stage of his new gallery, tears in his eyes. I didn't fall in love with any of your money. I fell in love with the pieces of you that money couldn't buy. But one woman, she never tried to impress me. She tried to understand me. He turned to Callista. You never told me your real name. You didn't need to. I saw your soul. Callie, it's you. Gasps. Cheers. Tears. They married in Elmsworth in a simple wedding. No gold. No media. Just art, family, and love. The other 3 women remained friends, founding the Hard Over Wealth Foundation. Caleb's story became a global symbol that no matter your status, love, true love, is not about riches. And somewhere in the gallery hangs a painting titled 4 Queens and a King. The caption reads, "They came for love. They left with truth." Subscribe for more stories that make your heart beat again. Share this if you believe love still wins.